Stretching an already massive liner takes equally huge lifting and pulling machines. This is the MSC Opera, one of the finest cruise ships to sail the seas, built in 2003 in Marseille, France. That just 10 years after launch, she is ready to be lengthened to host yet more passengers is an indication of how fast the cruise industry is growing. She is about ready to go under the knife here in the Palermo drydock. Engineers and technicians are tightening the cables and positioning the skid shoes that hold her in place as preparations get underway.
She is about 250 meters long, and after it's all finished with the lengthening process, she will be about 275 meters long. The new section is about 25 meters long. The beam remains the same, of course, and is about 29 meters.
The MSC Opera is 59,058 gross tons, which refers not to its real weight, but to its cargo transport capacity, and so its potential commercial value, while the ship's dry weight is the weight that the skid shoes have to lift and carry. Transport company Fagioli supplied Fincantieri with skid shoes and trailers to do this heavy lift job. The team on site is led by Loris Giovannini.
The
skid shoe system combines both lifting and transport. The lifting function is done with hydraulic jacks, which take on the vertical weight and are therefore able to provide vertical lift. The skid shoes also have another hydraulic system that allows them to apply a horizontal sliding action.
Once settled in the dry dock, the engineers ordered it to be cut in two and prepared for the new midship block to be inserted. The new segment was built in the Fincantieri yards over the past 5 months, so as to keep the Opera working on the cruise routes while it waited for its mega stretch. Building a new chunk of ship to add to a vessel that was not built here was problematic. But before Fincantieri could begin construction on a new midsection, they had to be absolutely sure of the ship's measurements and specifications. For this, they had to go back to the original plans and technical documents of the ship. Andrew Toso is the project manager in Fincantieri's Palermo site. He is looking over the vessel's technical documents to be absolutely sure of its measurements and specifications. He oversees the logistics behind the massive Jumboisation operation and makes sure that things run smoothly, with over 100 workers on the job.
The operation starts with the examination of technical documents that were made by the shipbuilder. This is a ship that wasn't constructed initially by Fincantieri, so we have to ask the ship's owner for the technical documents in order to start the project.
Obviously, before the ship arrives, the construction site has already completed construction of the ship's new section, and this new section is completed in every way. The ventilation system, the electrical wires, the cabins, the bathroom boxes. It will be completely finished so that in the end all we will need to do is connect the forward and rear faces of the new segment.
Only once we've seen the documents can we start our part of the project. So on the basis of those documents, we've shaped our project. But before we can begin constructing the new section. And as we've said, tolerances can be compared to a single blade of grass against a whole football pitch. We can't just sort of guess or hope that the original plans are sufficiently precise and don't need to be verified before construction. So once we've put together the preliminary documents, we go on board to carry out final checks to validate the initial data, and only then can we put together the whole project.
The new section was fitted with all the necessary specifications so that the ship would be continuous from bow to stern. The new section was 25 meters long. Each ship gets a custom-made segment to insert. It's not just the metal plates, beams and frames that need to be cut. A cruise ship like the Opera is connected together by a maze of electric wires, hydraulics, plumbing and ventilation ducts that need to be sliced and rebuilt.
In addition to cutting the beams and decks of the ship and the whole of the ship, all the wires that run throughout the ship are cut on the same line. The electrical wires will need to be reconnected so as to run through the entire ship, and they will be tagged with a code to enable this connection. We're talking about around 2,000 wires that are cut, marked, and then reconnected. The same happens with the pipes and the ventilation conduits.
Lo stesso accade per le tubazioni, lo stesso accade per le condotte di ventilazione.
Like every ship, first the double keel was laid, and then, as it grew before the eyes of the engineers that built it, it assumed the qualities of a viable floating vessel. The new section was built to the same specifications as the ship it would go into. And of course, the construction materials and tools were state-of-the-art, light and transportable. It took about 5 months to complete the segment, with the utilities and furnishings that matched the rest of the ship. At the end of construction, it was duly blessed in the presence of the local authorities. The new section of the ship was fitted with the 2,000 electrical wires and plumbing pipes so that when the ship was extended an extra 25 meters, all of the systems would connect.
The ship before enlargement has a gross tonnage of 60,000 tons, and after it's enlarged, it will be 65,000 tons. In terms of displacement, so the real weight of the ship will be from 30,000 tons to 32,500 tons. The whole extent of the increased weight comes from the new section.
In that 5 months, the new section was completely outfitted with carpets, cabins and bathrooms. The Jumboisation process is fast and efficient, so the ship can be returned to commissioned service as soon as possible.
Anche per il taglio lo possiamo dividere in 2 fasi.
Also, for the cutting of the ship, well, we can split it up into 2 phases. All the preparations for lighting the blowtorch and cutting the ship start when they remove all the fittings. When we say fittings, we mean the cabins, the beds, the mattresses, the bathrooms, the carpets. Once all these things are all removed, we get down to the raw metal of the ship.
E quindi si scopre il ferro nudo.
Once the ship was stripped to its iron frame, metal workers marked a precise plan for cutting the ship. By referring to the original technical documents of the vessel, experts measured the plating and beams in order for them to be cut with precise laser accuracy. A physical mark was made on the cutting line where metal workers would go in with blowtorches and melt the metal apart. After this process, Opera was ready to be stretched, sitting snugly in the massive drydock of Palermo, Sicily, resting on skid shoes that not only took the load, but also would later be used to move the bow and stern sections of the ship apart.
The side of the ship, or actually all the flat surfaces, are cut semi-automatically. There are machines that are positioned so that the cut can be carried out automatically using normal acetylene torches, basically with the same acetylene blow torches that are very common. The curved parts of the ship, the round, bulbous parts, are cut by hand by experienced metal workers.
Not all the areas that need to be cut are easily accessible. Some of the spaces are very cramped, but workers squeeze together and work for hours to finish the project on schedule.
The number of people needed on the ship depends on how many people can work in the same space without interfering with each other. Also because the ship isn't just randomly cut. To be able to preserve the ship's structural integrity, it's cut in a special sequence. You can't just attack the ship's decks and plates simultaneously. So basically we have about 40 people all cutting a particular section at the same time, and that process should usually take around 4 days.
E l'operazione dura mediamente 4 giorni.
As the sun set over the port of Palermo, the dry dock was abuzz with workers ready to perform a massive nighttime stretching operation. The MSC Opera was about to undergo an incredible upgrade in this huge dry dock construction site where it had been cut in half. Workers had verified the original technical documents of the ship and were about to proceed with the first stages of Jumboisation. After these checks, they could be certain that the new section would fit into place with absolute precision. The bow of the ship slid forward, ready for operations the next day. Once lengthened, she would be able to sail the waters with as much ease and with the same fluid dynamics and physics as she had as a shorter ship.